Question 13. We're told that the highest common factor of two numbers, x and 60, is 6. And we're told that the lowest common multiple of the same two numbers, x and 60, is 1260. And our final answer is asking us to figure out, once we figure out the value of x, multiply it by 5. So, highest common factor, lowest common multiple. There's more than one way of doing this, and it is a backwards question because we are not given one of the numbers, and we are given highest common factors and lowest common multiples. So I'm going to show first of all how you would figure this out using Venn diagrams, and then I'll show how to reverse engineer the what wins, what loses method, and then from there we just then need to multiply our x by 5 to get our final answer. So our Venn diagram. We will have x as our first number and 60 as our second number. We are told that our highest common factor is 6. So that means 6 will be in between our brackets here. So I can put, in between our circles here in the intersection of our Venn diagram, which is 6. We are also told that the lowest common multiple, which is all of these times together, will equal 1260. Now, from having 6 in this part of the 60 circle, you can do 60 divided by 6 in order to figure out what is left over, which is 10. So 60 divided by 6 here will equal 10. Now, we have a 10 here, we have a 6 here, and we have something that we do not know, but can figure out in two different ways. So first of all, you could ask yourself, 60, which represents this circle, times what makes 1260? Or the way we've written it out here, rather than have it as 60, it is something times 6 times 10 equals 1260. So effectively what we need to do in order to find out this unknown number that's in the x part of the circle only, we need to take that 1260 and we need to divide that by 60. When we do, we're going to get 21. And therefore I can write 21 in that part there. Now, that hasn't given us x yet, because x consists of not only the 6, but also the 21. So x refers to both of these values multiplied together. So x will be 21 times 6, which will give us 126. From there, we're on the finishing straight. The question's asking us for 5x. So the question's asking us to take that 126, multiply by 5, and that's going to give us 630. So all of this stuff here is if you were going to set up as Venn diagram. You could, of course, instead of having this 6, you could write that as a 2 and a 3, and that 21, we could have wrote that as a 3 and a 7, and that 10, we could have wrote as a 2 and a 5. We could break them down into prime factors if we want, but technically with the Venn diagram, it's more about the fact that we have the intersection, the highest common factor here. Then we have what it multiplies by to make one of the numbers, and then we can reverse engineer from the LCM what needs to multiply by these two numbers in order to get the lowest common multiple, and then from there we can figure out x by doing 21 times 6. Now, if we were to use the what wins, what loses method, first of all, we would write down our highest common factor in terms of its prime factors, which is 2 and 3. We have our lowest common multiple, 1260, that we would need to break down into its prime factors. In order to save a bit of time here, let me point you in the direction of this. So if I take 1260, for example, I can split it into 21 and 60 straight away, because we have 21 times 60. That 21 can then be written as 3 7s. The 60 can be written as 6 10s. And the 6 becomes a 2 and a 3, the 10 becomes a 2 and a 5, and we have all of our prime factors. Writing them in a row, we're going to have 2 squared times 3 squared times 5 times 7 for our lowest common multiple. Now, our lowest common multiple is all of the digits that they have in common added together, or all the digits that they have in common multiplied together, or what wins out of the 2s, what wins out of the 3s, what wins out of the 5s, so on and so forth. When we look at the number 60, we can see how it was involved in the figuring out of the LCM and HCF. 60 being 6 times 10, which is 2 3 and 2 5. So it gives us the following: 2 squared times 3 times 5. So from this, we can determine that as far as the lowest common multiple is concerned, All of those 2's were part of 60, which means that, you know, we have that part taken care of. We have only a single 3 as part of the 3 squared, so that tells us there must be a 3 in this other number. There has to be a 3 there. The 5 matches this 5, so we know where that one can come from. And then we have this 7 left over, so that 7 must also be part of this number x. Now, I say part of this number. The 3 and the 7, those were the parts that made up x that was not the highest common factor, or in other words, the bit of the x circle that had nothing to do with 60. The part that did have to do with 60, of course, we get from the highest common factor, because 2 times 3, which is the 6, is that overlap. So there is this little 2 times 3 that we sneak in there in order to make this work. And if you do 2 times 3 times 3 times 7, you're going to end up with 126. And then from there, we times that by 5 again. Difficult question. 2 ways of doing it. There might be other ways out there, but those are the 2 that spring to mind. Done.